Hope you find some kind of peace of mind.
That's right. I hope you find some kind of peace of mind on this Monday evening. Happy Mental Health Monday. Let's get it.
Hope you find some kind of peace of mind.
Funny seeing you here. Want to talk to you about romanticizing life. Some people think you shouldn't. On the other hand, I think you should. After all, we only have one life to live. You are the main character in your movie. And you should treat it as so. Why do I say this? Well, if you're unsure of where to go, what to do, maybe that's because it's not that good of a movie. And maybe it's because you're afraid to be vulnerable. Put yourself out there. Do something. Do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Something you've been longing to try, well, do it. Whether you succeed or fail, or just don't find it as interesting, at least you put yourself out there and you did it. After all, this is it. This is all we have. Don't take it for granted. And make a good movie out of it. You might just be happy with what you find. And most importantly, keep showing up. Oh yeah, baby. That's right. Keep showing up, damn it. What's going on, everybody? How we doing? Happy Mental Health Monday. Hey there. There you go. That was this week's mental health video of the week. Hope you enjoy it. If you didn't catch it, I will go back to it. Don't worry. In case you want to check it out yourself, it's out on all the socials as we speak. How's everybody doing? Happy Mental Health Monday. It's been a crazy busy Monday for me at work, and wasn't feeling well on top of that, and just stressed about all the action and everything that took place over the weekend. Just a whole lot going on. I hope you had a great Monday. I hope it went nice and easy for you, and I hope the rest of the week as well. I hope you had a great 4th of July. You know, me, it was kind of an up and down 4th of July, honestly. We woke up July 4th, and, you know, my son was dealing with shortness of breath, labored breathing, and turns out he ended up having to go to the hospital, had pneumonia in his right lung. It was just so much going on. It's insane. You know, I was hosting a party on July 4th. I was weighing back and forth whether or not to just outright cancel. I did cancel some guests, but I did have some people eventually come over. You know, I was going to get into that in today's show and talk about that a little bit, that decision going into it, because, you know, I think some reactions from some people are like, you know, how could you like have a party still, whatever, you know, and I get that. That's definitely a reaction that makes sense. But the other, you know, I'll break it down for you, because the other solution for me is, well, I could just, you know, stay at home and be worried and, you know, just, you know, hang out with my daughter and you know, just be stressed the whole time, you know, or, you know, especially knowing me, I'd be pacing back and forth, just not knowing what to do with myself, right? Or, you know, eventually what would happen, I would have swapped out with my wife at the hospital. She'd have come home, you know, and, you know, it would have been just vice versa. You know, I'd been hanging out with Charlie at the hospital. She'd have been at home, you know, worried sick. You know, so I figured, you know, we spoke about it. She opted for me to stay home. I stayed home, had the party. Again, canceled some guests, but still had a pretty decent gathering of people, and ended up doing fireworks at night. It's weird, because all the time worried about him and what's going on, and him, fighting off pneumonia. At the same time, understanding that he's probably in the best hands possible, and if need be, if I did need to go to the hospital, of course I would have just, picked my things up and gone. Family's at the house, so I could really care less. They could stay here, do their own thing. So there's that, but there's definitely a side of me that, needed that in that moment, right? It needed that sense of comfort and positivity that can help you get through. Can help you get through a moment, and it's tough for any parent, anybody that has been a parent, you will be a parent. You'll know, that when your kids are sick, and you have basically done everything you can, to try and mitigate that, but nothing seems to be working. I mean, I had given him nebulized medication, prior to going to the hospital. I've given albuterol, given budesonide, something that he's prescribed for that should help him in this type of scenario. You do that, you listen, to the lungs, you check heart rate. Next thing you know, you just know this has become an emergency situation, and it's scary. It's scary in the first responder sense, but obviously you're trained to know what to do and how to respond. But as a parent, a lot of that, kind of overrides that typical type of training, or the training that I've had, and you question yourself. Did you do the right thing? Are you doing the right thing? There's just so much going on. And then on top of that, once he was at the hospital and, we got a diagnosis, he did a chest x-ray, it was kind of just understood, like, okay, we know what it is, it's treatable, antibiotics, IV antibiotics, it's all good. And it was. Charlie's a fighter, he's been there before, and he was discharged the very next day, late in the evening, and there you go. He's been fine ever since, really taking his antibiotics, still recovering, but seemed really today, for the first time, like back to his normal self, I would say, like completely, and the lungs sound good. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a blessing, that, he's able to recover and get through that. But the mental toll it takes as a parent, to go through it, and then at such a weird time coming on July 4th, where you had plans, things like that, what do you do, So I tried to find that happy medium. Again, knowing the severity of the issue, I think it was easier to make that decision in a moment, knowing that, it's not a do or die death type situation, for him. But either way, either decision there is justified. I could, to cancel and to just be there. Obviously, like, I wouldn't really bring my daughter to the hospital, so, it either I need to, find somebody else to watch her, or, just don't go at all. So there's a lot, but, the other aspect of it is just the genuine, feeling you get as a parent that, that just fear that something terrible could happen. It's it always happens all too fast with kids, and they really do just go from 0 to 100 in a lot of these cases, and it's tough. It's just tough to deal with. It's tough to see, and again, it's always a reminder to not take these precious moments for granted. Charlie is a special case in that sense that he's kind of a bit of a medical mystery in itself. Born 24 weeks, 1 pound, 9 ounces, not expected to live through the night, having multiple surgeries over the course of months, 7 months to be exact, in the NICU. where there was some nights there, yeah, you weren't sure. You were not sure, and neither were the doctors. It was a very high risk, high tense moments. A lot of time spent, sleeping on that chair in the hospital. Just waiting for things to get better. That's no parent should ever have to feel that. No parent should ever have to go through that. No child should ever have to go through that. It was a tough decision that we made as parents to keep him alive, because that was also something that was on the table. I mean, how just that alone, right? I mean, obviously, like, I don't regret the decision, but one thing is true. It's what the doctors told us, is that he will have lifelong complications, and so far that remains to be true. He's made improvements. We're hoping, with technology and all that, and science, that we can get to a better place for him later down the line. But those question marks remain about his future. And there's no way telling, which way it'll go at times, but I'm very optimistic about his growth. And this is like kind of like a bit of a setback. We're not too sure if it's from him, aspirating, and getting food and getting liquids down into his lungs. Like, I don't know if that's a reason for this pneumonia, or he was able to develop pneumonia through something else. I don't know. But the question is whether or not this will be a recurring thing for him down the line, due to his ability to aspirate at times. So, you gotta be cautious, and you gotta take it one day at a time. It's just so much. There's just so much that goes into that, and give yourself a pat on the back if you're a parent, dealing with special needs. I mean, it takes a lot mentally to continue to fight, continue to go through that every day. As much as the child's fighting, you yourself, as the parent, are fighting as well. It's, it's so normal to feel like this, people oftentimes think, you gotta be, super strong, and it's okay to feel broken down. It's okay to feel upset or depressed, or in that moment over it. It really is. The key is not letting it linger too long, right? Is bouncing back from that, is showing up every day. This is what you got to do. It's what you got to do. I did bring back a note to myself for those of you that go way back, not too far back, honestly, about a year ago. But it feels like it, it's been forever. If some of you may remember from my Instagram, my personal Instagram, I put out a video called A Note to Myself, and it was a poem for my father. My late father passed away back in 2007 due to liver cancer. And I wrote, at the time I was writing quite a bit. I was just trying to get back into it. I used to write a lot when I was younger, and somewhere, I always had moments where I'd be kind of off and on. I'd write for a couple of months, I'd just kind of stop. And this is, similar to that. I was feeling the itch to write and things like that. And I was just getting into a lot of the content creating at the time, really kind of ramping up the content creating. This is before we had created the YouTube channel for Epis Radio. And, I came out with this video. A lot of people seemed to like it. I had a lot of fun doing it. And I always thought it was the essence of this mental health, Mondays. I want to show it to you guys, because it was just, this one in particular, not the original about my father, but this one that I just created in particular, about my son, who, obviously dealing, I just, talked about it, dealing with pneumonia, fighting, for his life again in the hospital. You know, it's important to get these things out as a parent, as a dad, to just talk about it, get it off your chest. Don't hold these things in. It's okay to worry. It's okay to feel these feelings, right? And what better way than to do it in artistic form, and hope that somebody out there is listening, and put them at ease too, or at the very least, make them feel not so alone, and understand that there's other people out there, going through it as well. So important, so important. So let me cue that up for y'all right here. A note to myself: check it out again. It's on all of our socials. All right, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the Epis Radio and the Epis Benedetti pages. Okay, you can check it out. And here you go. A note to myself. Oh. I'll never forget the night you were born, and the doctors told me you may not even live till the next day. Hold on. I don't know why I'm getting a delay there, but I don't like that. I gotta change that, because that was not happening before. Why is it happening now? What is going on? I don't like that. I don't know why I started talking like that all of a sudden. So let me just figure that out real quick, because that did happen on last show. Let's try this one more time. I'll never forget the night you were born, and the doctors told me you may not even live till the next day. All the surgeries you went through, all the questionable nights in which I didn't think you would return, the dark days ahead, the question mark about your future. And just yesterday, you were back in the hospital, fighting for your life again. Who knows what the future will hold? Either way, you can always count on me to be there by your side. You fought this much, and you'll fight again. Just know that I love you. And I'll see you in the end. Keep showing up. I'm not really sure why I'm getting a little reverb on it. It's like almost echoing. That's not how the video's supposed to go. I'm gonna play it one more time for you. So sorry if it sounds a little weird. Again, you can check it out for yourself on the socials. But one more time. A note to myself. I'll never forget the night you were born, and the doctors told me you may not even live till the next day. All the surgeries you went through, all the questionable nights in which I didn't think you would return, the dark days ahead, the question mark about your future. And just yesterday, you were back in the hospital, fighting for your life again. Who knows what the future will hold? Either way, you can always count on me to be there by your side. You fought this much, and you'll fight again. Just know that I love you, and I'll see you in the end. Keep showing up. All right. There you go. You seen the comments right there from my buddy Jeff. So come on, man. Didn't plan on crying today. He commented on the video. I figured out that reverb that I'm hearing is totally a me thing. So, appreciate the chat. It's the beauty of engineering, my own show. I can check that out. So I was listening to the actual live feedback that was going on Twitch, and sounds good on your guys' end. So it's a me thing. I got to figure that out and see. It's all in my headphones. I'm hearing that. It's kind of a cool effect, honestly. I was kind of digging it after the second go around, but there you go. A note to myself. This one's about my son. I'm going to release the original note to myself that I was talking about my dad. I think I had put out another one as well, but for some reason I'm forgetting what it was. So I gotta go check back and see if there's another third note to myself. But I'm gonna release it as volumes. Not sure when I'm gonna end the volumes, but yeah, doing volumes. That's technically episode 1. So, hope you like it. Again, as the show goes on, as we grow, there's so many things will be added to it. Again, there will most likely be shows that, I'm not on, podcasts, things like that. I think eventually the more I add, we will have separate pages on YouTube, things like that. But for now, really just focused under the whole Epis Radio umbrella on YouTube, and then of course the socials as well. But we'll have separate pages. I think as popularity grows, we'll kind of separate. I want to establish the fan base now, and yeah, move forward. I have a couple other ideas in the pipeline coming. Obviously, a note to myself was on there. I'm still doing the golf one as well. I'm gonna do like a whole golf series, so where me learning golf and just some bloopers and things like that. I know, on YouTube especially, the golf goes huge, and us being sports, why not? Let me throw that in there as well, but. Not all we do is sports. Not all we talk about is sports. Obviously, here on the Mental Health Mondays, a lot of mental health discussions. Got a lot of ideas going forward for the show. A lot of good guests. I'm trying to line up and get involved. At all walks of life. First responders, musicians, authors of books. I mean, just teachers, whatever, whoever we could find, whatever we could talk about, somehow, some way, it's all going to tie in to the mental health aspect of things, and that's where we're going. Outside of that, I am flirting with an idea about a YouTube series, or I guess all social series, but another new Epis series that really I'll have nothing to do with. Honestly, it will just be the first controlled series by somebody. I'll be doing the filming and the editing and behind the scenes work majority of the time. Maybe I make some guest appearances in videos. I don't know. We'll see how we go. But I'm thinking about introducing an automotive series. Working on cars, teaching you how to do the basics, all the way to advanced work on cars. Some 15, 20-minute segments, on YouTube, teaching you how to, change your oil, change a tire, just, do a lot of things, change your brakes, whatever it is, related to cars, and a good detailed way and also a fun, fresh kind of way of doing it. Yeah, that's in the discussion right now. It's not set in stone, but that's where we're aiming. This is Epis Radio is just like my father created the word Epis, it can and quite literally mean anything. You know, that kind of stemmed into, for me, everything possible in sports. And now it's just everything possible in Epis, man. That's it. We're just trying to do it all, but doing it in the right way, in a calculated way, and it's not rushing to things. I really want to, make sure, all the pieces involved have their moment to shine and then grow. So there you go. Again, please, if you haven't already done so, please like, follow, and subscribe on all the socials out there. All right. I'm not going to go too long tonight. Kind of been feeling it today, just dragging on for the weekend, the holiday, everything that's going on with my son. I didn't even get great sleep myself last night. I was kind of up, had a bit of a stomach bug going on, not feeling well. I think, my wife's getting it too. I think we ate some questionable halal food yesterday, and it was actually a restaurant, not in a cart, for those of you familiar in the New York City area. So we ate some questionable halal food. At least we believe that to be the culprit. And it's fighting back with a vengeance, apparently. So, been dealing with that since like late last night. And just, the stresses of life, certainly did not want to cancel on you guys and want to be here. But it did, took a lot for me to be here and be prepared for this today. So I think I'm going to give myself a break and maybe, instead of the 2 hours, hour and a half that will go, we're really looking at, we're already at the half hour part. I did throw up the stream a little early. I think the stream was pre-opened for about 10 minutes now. So we're going about half hour so far in the show tonight. So, we'll get a good 45, to an hour in tonight for you guys and for this episode 13. For those of you watching in post, as you always do, again, appreciate the support. If anybody watches this in post, wants to come on and talk about something, I'll let your light shine. You just gotta hit me up, DM me, give me a subject, give me something you want to talk about, and we'll talk about it, man. We'll get down to it, and that's what it's about. That's what this show's about. Let me get some of my little mushroom coffee here. I've been trying out this mushroom coffee for a while now, and I gotta say it's pretty good. Especially a nice alternative to a late night coffee, which I'm so accustomed to doing. Not, even, just caffeinated black, coffee will get me going, for a little bit. Now, I'm no stranger to having coffee and then going to bed at times, but still, can leave me in a very, wired position for a little bit. I try to refrain from the, sugar and milk. Mainly the sugar, especially at night. But every now and then I like to have it. The mushroom coffee, though, just the mushroom coffee, that's it. Tonight. Definitely, gives you that energy boost you need without that crash that caffeine will give you. Even though I believe there's a little bit of caffeine in here, but it's such around a smaller scale to what I'm normally used to, that it's not really going to affect me like that. So, not bad though. Give it a shot. There's a bunch of mushroom coffees out there. I went with the basic one, Rise. There's a couple other good ones out there. You do your own research. You check what you like. I just want to, test the market a little bit. Tried this one out, so it seemed like it was the most well-known, on the market, or at least the most advertised one on the market. Certainly did a good job for that. The second I looked into it, I'm getting hit with, on my algorithms, all with, mushroom coffee ads and mainly this Rise one. So ended up going with it. That's the one good thing about this day and age. Now you can just basically speak it into existence, wait about 20 minutes, and you can almost be guaranteed you will get an ad for whatever the hell it is you're talking about. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but it's certainly convenient. Questionable as to how that takes place. So I actually had a friend that said he was in charge of that. He used to do that. That's kind of crazy, dude. Yeah, like that's a bit of invasion of privacy, don't you think? um, so one thing, you go back to the mental health video of the week. I talk about being the main character in your own movie, and I think for me, it's something that I really have romanticized in my life. Is that I am the main character in my own movie, and I believe others should think this way as well. I don't know. I've heard people say that you know, it's not good to romanticize life, and I don't understand. I mean, I think yeah, I can easily romanticize almost just about anything. And for me, I think it's given me a heightened sensitivity to what's really going on around me, and it doesn't leave me ungrateful in a lot of situations. I don't, and it took me a long time to get to here in this way of thinking, because I sure as hell did not think that way for a vast majority of my life. But in recent years, I felt a noticeable shift in my perspective, and that was one of them. It was really starting to romanticize, the things that I do in my life, and kind of like, yeah, not to necessarily just pat yourself on the back. You gotta, work for it. You gotta do things, that are worth doing. That brings you happiness and joy and things like that. If you're not doing anything, with your life, it's going to, you can't fake that. You know what I'm saying? It's not, and I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm doing everything, but the things that I am doing bring me a whole lot of joy on top of just being a parent, being a father, of 3 and soon to be 4. I love kids. I love my kids. I love that part of my life, and I love the part of my life that's this, and the hobbies and interests that I have, writing, just talking about that, doing a note to myself series, romanticizing, my own spoken word, it may come off as cocky, but it's certainly not the approach I'm taking. I don't get it confused with being the center of attention. Because for me, I don't need to be the center of attention. Never had to. I do like to make my presence known in a lot of situations, and for those of you that have been around me and understand where that's coming from, again, I just, me, I always like to, see a person smile. I mean, I have my bad days, no doubt. Today was a bad day. Again, when I, feeling physically unwell, it was not my normal perky self. Really just wanted to be left alone and, unbothered, And that's tough to do in a work environment around a bunch of coworkers and patients who, arguably are going through a much worse time than you, battling cancer and things like that. So, again, perspective is key, and it was a little hard for me to shift that perspective today. But again, going back to my point, it's not about being the center of attention, because a lot of, for those of you close to me, yeah, I do like socializing, but to a certain extent, my social media meter burns out, and burns out a lot quicker than you might think. It's kind of easy to talk like this because although I'm talking to you, whether you're here live with me or in post, it's really just me right now, talking, to myself almost. And it's a different, perspective, a different kind of socializing there. And, I'm always been the loner type a little bit, I knew a lot of people. I'm cool with a lot of people, but, you know, kept my circle small for the most part, or at least my immediate circle. And I've been like that for a long time. But when it comes to my achievements in life, running marathon, and just the little things, getting out there, exploring. Hiking has brought so much joy to my life. I haven't gone out there a lot this year, outside of the trail run. If you want to. I mean, I was definitely hiking. It was 50 miles through the woods, so like that's totally hiking. But outside of that, I haven't been back out in the woods in a minute. I have local trails around me, but nothing crazy. But again, and even that, running and all this, it brings me so joy. I romanticize the journey. You know, the discipline to show up every day and put in a workout. Yesterday, feeling pretty good. Really had a nice intense workout with a good friend of mine, somebody I haven't seen in a long time, and that in itself, that reconnection with an old friend. Being able to romanticize that. Understanding that genuine friendship is out there, and and knowing that it's so hard to come by. And just appreciating that. I mean, that, made, my week, what I'm saying? Just being able to reconnect with that friend. And I don't think, he'll ever truly understand how much that couple of hours spent with him means to me, and because, they won't. Because, again, like, I romanticize it in such a way that, it's like a storybook ending to a perfect movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel about that. Like, oh, or like now there's a new chapter in the movie. Like we're moving on to a new chapter, and the not to say that the friendship was tarnished or any way in this real life scenario that I'm giving you, but having that type of distance that we had, not really, seeing each other for such a long time, and for whatever reason, so circumstance, I'm busy, he's busy, and to no fault of each other, just life getting in the way, life being in the way. I have those friends where I don't hear from for a long time, but when I do, it's beautiful, right? Oftentimes I feel like that's the best type of relationships I've ever had. Yeah, that's just it, and just that appreciation, that love for it. Why not romanticize it, right? Like, what am I just supposed to poo poo? Well, it's just it's just it's just him. It doesn't really mean anything. Doesn't okay? I mean, sure. It's one way to look at it. Sounds boring. Sounds like unfulfilling. Now again, I mean, if it's if that spending time with that person just genuinely does not bring you any joy or happiness, well, maybe you got to reevaluate that relationship or that activity or that thing that is making you feel that way. I mean, I only at this point in my life, I'm really trying to just devote my time and energy to areas in my life that make sense, and if it doesn't make sense, and it's just gonna drain me of my energy and my time negatively, then why bother? Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. You're killing yourself slowly. And that's no way to live. You can't do that. You gotta find that joy and happiness in life. You gotta fight through whatever it is. And again, you go back to the mental health video of the week. Do something uncomfortable. You'd be surprised at what you find. It's put yourself out there. Do some things. Challenge yourself. Make it a life worth living, man. Do something. There's got to be some sort of excitement. I've met people that don't do anything, and I question. I'm like, how could you be happy? But then again, I've met some people that just seem awfully content with being content. And that's admirable. I'm saying? That's almost, more is healthier than the person that, you know, is doing things reluctantly, or doing things for other underlying circumstances that may be having a detrimental effect on their everyday life. I don't know. I know those one lady, she doesn't do much, man. Same thing every single day. No hobbies, no interest, just, kind of doing her thing on her tablet, some games, read books, Doesn't even really go outside. I don't get it, Doesn't listen to music. How do you not listen to music? I can't understand that. But, again, maybe for them that is the happiness, but I tend to think you should always do every now and then, especially a couple of times a year, challenge yourself and go outside the box a little, do something wouldn't normally do. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a couple of times a year. Plan it out. For me, it's been my marathon journey, really pushing my body to new levels. That's been life-changing for me in so many ways. It's created a discipline within myself that honestly a couple of years ago, more than a couple of years ago, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I didn't think it was even possible. It was a level of fitness that I didn't even think I'd be able to obtain. And I've surprised myself in the process, because now I'm here thinking I can do so much more, and I've already made a lot of progress in that department, and it's spilled over into other aspects of my life. With the show, always give credit to that. The dedication and effort that takes, going into all this was a lot. It was something that I, again, 4 or 5 years ago, was not willing to commit to. Something changed along the way, and it opened up a lot of doors for me. And, again, romanticizing that, having that different perspective on just the little things in life, the little things that I'm doing. Those moments where you kind of take a step back and, look at your life as a whole and say, yeah, man, that's awesome. Or, it's great that this happens. It's appreciate it for what it is. Again, we've spoken all the time. These moments are fleeting. You'll only get so much of them, and if you don't romanticize it, I'm afraid you just might lose it along the way, and miss it. Miss the moment happening in real time. That's a scary feeling. Give yourself credit where credit's due, but also go out there and go chase them. Make something yourself. Make it a good movie, right? Why not? You don't want to be the main character in your movie and that's boring. Make it interesting. Do something. Shake it up a little bit. Try something new. It's very important. being stagnant and just content with your life, I feel like that can eat away at you slowly, or just the everyday mundane, the 9 to 5 chasing money, you know we know that's suicidal. We know, especially in this day and age where society is built in a way where unless you're 2-3 income household, it's a struggle. It forces you to work long hours and doesn't give you that flexibility to focus on yourself. I'm always a proponent of that. I tell all my coworkers, now, take your sick time, all that. Sorry, as they should. We should get more benefits, more sick time, more paid time off. This whole 5-day work week thing shouldn't be happening. I work 4 days. It was the greatest, almost one of the greatest decisions I made in the last year. I was skeptical about it. I could still work 5 days if I really wanted to. But the benefits of doing it while maintaining financial security, and again, not easy, but making it do. But finding that work-life balance, I don't pretend to have, a whole lot of money, but, we get by. We do well. And we worked for that. We worked to be to this point. It was a lot of, struggle days. There still is. But the work-life balance outside of that is important, Not only for me, but my wife, She, is always welcome to have her night out with her girls and do her thing and whatever, like, if I could watch the kids, sure, why not? Make it happen. Everybody needs that balance, especially in a good relationship, especially in a good marriage, with kids, prioritizing yourself. That's another thing. I was just talking with a friend of mine today, fan of the show, and she was explaining to me how she's questioning, her position as a mother, and an individual outside of being a mother, and I get that, man. I get that. You got a large part of it is prioritizing you. I've heard that, saying that cliche of, your kids come first. And they do, to a certain extent. If you're not right, well, how could they be right? Well, you're just going to suppress all the bullshit, all the demons, and just stuff it inside in hopes that, that's somehow not going to resonate in the teachings of your child. It's wishful thinking, but the reality is it's going to manifest in some sort of way, whether you realize it or not. So you have to address that. You have to come to terms with that. Hold yourself accountable and say, hey, I gotta focus on myself. I gotta get myself right physically and mentally before I can truly, take care of other human beings. I mean, it's especially that, This rings true for the single without, kids as well. It's just, if you're not prioritizing you or your mental and physical health, then what the hell what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Again, I say it in the video, you only get one of these. Or at least that's my belief. I understand there's people out there with heavy religious beliefs, believe in reincarnation, and I do to a certain extent. I don't know if it's, necessarily the way most faiths would have you believe. But for the sake of the conversation, this is it. You're not given another opportunity. You do have this one life to live, and you shouldn't squander it by any means. A lot of us, it takes many, many years, many, many mistakes to truly understand what that means. And it's sad when I see people hold grudges or resentment towards others, or just misguided anger, wasting away precious time that you'll never get back. Yeah. A time in our lives right now where there's so much hatred politically. We are the most divided this country possibly has ever been, back to the days of slavery, because we're seeing signs of modern day slavery. When are people going to realize that all of this is completely misguided anger? When are people going to finally realize that, Zero Sorrow coming in with the raid. What's going on, bro? Hope your stream went well. I didn't think I'd be hanging on long enough till you showed up tonight, if you were showing up at all, but I appreciate you, man. As always, Zero. Thank you for all the support, my brother. What's going on, everybody? It's Matty B, Epis Radio. All right, it's Mental Mondays with Epis. Happy Mental Health Monday to you. I was just going down a rabbit hole of prioritizing yourself and misguided anger. I don't know, you kind of startled me a little bit now, Great mental health video, Monday video today. Thank you, bro. You know what? Maybe that's a good spot to, Twisted. What's going on, bro? Thank you, man, for showing up. Maybe that's a good spot for you guys now. We're getting near the end of the show, to be honest with you anyway. I've kind of been battling a little bit of a stomach bug for the last 24 hours, so I'm a bit depleted energy-wise. The mushroom coffee that I'm having is helping and might not be helping in some ways, but it's helping me, keeping me going right now, energy-wise. So thank you for following. Lily, appreciate you. Keep showing up. Raid Train can continue. Yes. So for those of you that don't know, thank you for tuning in. It's Mental Mondays with Epis. Every week on the show, I put out a mental health video of the week on all of my socials, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And it's usually a quick little video, somehow tying into a mental health aspect of things. This week is a new, different type of mental health video, only because of the equipment that I had at hand for myself. So hope you like it. We can check it out. We could also show you, because I did play it at the beginning of the show, a new series that I just released called A Note to Myself, basically spoken poetry. And I did one in regards to my youngest son, who was just in the hospital over the weekend battling pneumonia. He's okay now. He's home. He's actually sleeping in the room behind me, hanging out. But we'll check it out for you. So, Lily, thank you for the follow. We appreciate you. Keep showing up. Hope you like these videos. Let's get this queued up. Hey there. Oh, God. Funny seeing you here. Want to talk to you about romanticizing life. Some people think you shouldn't. On the other hand, I think you should. After all, we only have one life to live. You are the main character in your movie, and you should treat it as so. Why do I say this? Well, if you're unsure of where to go, what to do, maybe that's because it's not that good of a movie. And maybe it's because you're afraid to be vulnerable. Put yourself out there. Do something. Do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Something you've been longing to try. Well, do it. Whether you succeed or fail, or just don't find it as interesting, at least you put yourself out there and you did it. After all, this is it. This is all we have. Don't take it for granted and make a good movie out of it. You might just be happy with what you find. And most importantly, keep showing up. That's right, that's right, that's right. Keep showing up, keep showing up. I hope you liked that one. That was it was fun for me to make. Didn't take me too long too. 2 takes on this one. 2 take Johnny on this one. But I've always seen this staircase not too far from where I live, and really wanted to always do something with it. Now that I have that external mic, I'm able to do so much more with the mental health videos. If you're familiar with my videos in the past, you know it's a lot of point of view close ups, and just also one take at times, depending on the edit. But then I have another mental health video where it's a two person interaction. It's me usually most of the time speaking to myself, just in different character. So check it out if you haven't already. Go to the socials. There, all the videos are on there. Check out the YouTube page, Epis Radio. That has the whole catalog of Epis stuff. There's so much more in the works. Again, I'm going to be doing a golf series still. I'm thinking about an automotive series, talking about how to fix cars, real self-help stuff. So please, please like, follow, and subscribe, and keep showing up. The other video I wanted to show, and by the way, Twisted, thank you for the raid, man. I both of you, Zero and Twisted, coming in here, surprising me, throwing me for a loop tonight. So can't thank you enough for all the support. What's up, bro? Say Maddie. Really, I appreciate you. It's a beautiful thing. Keep showing up, both of you. This Zero, real quick before I get that video, you saying Maddie? Oh, okay. Oh, that's why. Hey, you know what? I was like, that name sounds familiar. So no, I don't. So what up, Twisted? Now I know who it is. Appreciate you. I'll get the follow on you later, and we'll get a highlight out for you next time. Actually, Zero, shout him out on the channel if you can, for the peeps for me, since you're chilling in the chat. This is this next video is, again, it's the resurrection of A Note to Myself. I had originally released this about a year and a half ago. It was the video that came out then was a video, a tribute towards my father, who passed away due to liver cancer, and it was just a nice little poem, written for him, and then just everything that I was feeling through the grieving process, and the times we had, and the memories I had, and that I'm not going to be playing that one for you guys tonight. I am going to be re-releasing that though eventually on YouTube, So look out for that. It is on my Instagram page. I could scroll down and check it, but yeah, I really want to get to this video for you guys. The one I just did and released. Again, this is for my son who was in the hospital this past weekend. He presented with shortness of breath and labored breathing as of Friday morning. I was able to, I have a first responder background, so I was able to listen to his lungs, notice that there was fluid in there. We had to get him to the hospital ASAP and do a chest x-ray. Turns out pneumonia in the right lungs. He is in recovery. He's home now. But still, not completely out of the water just yet, but seems to be on the right path. And, thank God for antibiotics and the wonderful hospital of Cohen's Children out in New Hyde Park. They've saved his life before, and they'll save it again if they have to. So, big shout out to Cohen's Children. If you haven't done so, there's a Netflix documentary about Northwell, and they feature that hospital. Amazing stuff they're doing over at Cohen's. And Charlie has certainly been at the forefront of that. All right, here it is. This other video that I released on Sunday, yesterday. A note to myself. I'll never forget the night you were born, and the doctors told me you may not even live till the next day. All the surgeries you went through, all the questionable nights in which I didn't think you would return, the dark days ahead, the question mark about your future. And just yesterday, you were back in the hospital, fighting for your life again. Who knows what the future will hold? Either way, you can always count on me to be there by your side. You fought this much, and you'll fight again. Just know that I love you. And I'll see you in the end. Keep showing up. Yeah. Woo, yeah. When I, just hearing it, man. Just hearing it gets me, I tell you. That is the intro, that little song at the end. That is Vanilla, Searching. If you haven't checked out that song, please go and check it out. Vanilla is awesome, and I use them for a lot of my stuff. I tell you, I don't know what it was. Something invoked it in me to just, go out there and do that. He was just in the hospital. I seen a friend of mine yesterday. We went to go work out together for a little bit, and I asked him, hey, is it okay? Do this at your place? It's not my place in the video. And, the second I walked in, I just, looked into the living room, and I could just, I was like, all right, there it is. That's the shot, and that's the spot for it. And, I had this kind of script playing in my head about him, and honestly, I'm not lying to you, all of that was improv. I had literally wrote, do I have the book here? No, the book is downstairs. I had literally wrote right then and there, sitting in that beanbag chair, because I had nothing on the paper. It was a blank space. And I was literally telling my friend, I'm like, I'm just going to go off the cuff. He's like, you should probably just write some things down. That way, if you you kind of get lost in the moment, maybe you could just reference one or two things, so I did that. I literally just jotted down 3 little lines of all right, in the hospital, fighting for your life and things like that. Just quick little phrases like that. The rest of all of that, outside of drawing the inspiration for the little bullet points. And again, it was mainly just improv, the whole all of it. Which was pretty good. It was a one take thing. Um, you know, I was like, all right, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. And why? Because it's just truthful. It's what I'm feeling. It's what I was feeling at the time. I think that's a big part of my show and Epis Radio. That it is what it is. You're getting exactly what you see. There's no bells and whistles. I'm not sugarcoating shit. I'm gonna give it to you straight and tell you how I feel. Um, if you're familiar with the sports show that we do, Epis Sports, this is how Epis Radio originated. Um, Me and my co-host W. Dubois on there, we give it to you straight. We don't pretend to know all the facts. We don't pretend to have all the answers or all the knowledge. We do think we're knowledgeable in certain areas, but we keep it on 100 all the time, and that's a part of that. And I love writing. It's something that I did growing up. I used to write a lot. I used to journal a lot. Haven't done so in a very long time, mainly just because of everything that I'm doing elsewise. I genuinely feel like I don't have enough time, but I know part of that is not true. I could always find a time to do something. It's something that I really do feel as well has been part of my growth over the last couple of years is taking on a lot of different things and saying yes to a lot of different things instead of putting things off and oh, maybe I'll do that. Oh, no, just do it. And it's just left me wanting to do more. I think writing and resurrecting this series, a note to myself, is important towards that in order to expand what we're trying to do here at Epis Radio. And most importantly, for you, the viewer, I just, I hope, you find a way to connect on that level. I know some of you have. You've reached out to me privately through DMs, and it's always just amazing to hear from you and to hear that feedback and to know, that I'm not alone. In a lot of this, and that I have more people going through it and more support than I'll ever know, and it's just it's a beautiful thing to not feel alone in this crazy world, in this thing that we call adulting, and and how it's just so not easy. We were fed a lie growing up. It's and especially in this political climate, everything that's going on, in this age of technology and social media, it's a lot, right? It's a lot. And these are just one of the ways to cope and get through it. And, it's important. It's important for a parent going through this type of thing to be vocal about it. I'm not saying you have to go start a YouTube series about it. But let it out. Talk to a friend. Seek some therapy if you need to. Talk about it. You don't have to bottle these things in. It's just not. It's not healthy. It's not good for you. And again, it'll manifest in other ways of your life. If you a big thing that we were talking about before you guys had come in tonight, it was prioritizing yourself. Whether you have kids, you're single, you don't have kids. Even more so, I feel like when you do have kids, because now you're responsible of another human being, possibly multiple other kids, and if you're not right, then how are you gonna get them right? It's just gonna manifest into your parenting. You could try and lie to yourself and say that it won't and that you'll just, you'll be able to separate the two. Okay, good luck with that. I'm speaking from experience because I know I'm not perfect. I made a lot of mistakes as a father, but, the key is holding yourself accountable and working through that, and understanding that, hey man, you at the end of the day come first, because if you're not good, you don't have your health, what good are you to your kids? What good are you to anybody? A friend, a family member, anybody. You're no good. You can have all the money in the world. All the money. Billions of dollars. Jeff Bezos type money. The second your health is gone, all that wealth, all that fortune, all that fame, whatever it is gone. It's completely out the window and none of it matters anymore. So what good are you? I'd rather have no money and have my health than have all the money in the world and dying of stage 4 cancer. Like, perspective is key, and prioritizing yourself is super important. And for me, this is one of those ways, prioritizing myself, because it's therapeutic for me. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the content, and I mean, right now I'm not monetizing on any of my content, so it's really just coming at a place of joy and happiness, and in this case, grieving. Which is okay. That's great too. Like it's important. It's almost necessary. At least I feel that way. Now, you may not agree. Let me know in the comments if you don't. But you gotta prioritize yourself, especially single, no kids. Like, what are you doing then if you're not prioritizing yourself and you're just prioritizing others? You're not focusing on your own mental and physical health. Then you're no good to anybody eventually. You'll flame out. You'll flame out. Something's going to manifest, whether it be your health, your physical health, or your mental health. You have to prioritize you at the end of the day. I think that's the message for the people. I think that, that's on top of that, being vulnerable, putting yourself out there, doing different things, because that's definitely the key message of the mental health video of the week. During my running journey over the years, I can't even tell you, 5-6 years ago, I can't even tell you how I could even run a mile, let alone a 50-mile race. I've run multiple marathons now. I'm going to run 2 more in the next couple of months. I didn't think that was possible. I'm not like, but here I am also romanticizing my life and saying that, man, it's a beautiful life. It's a beautiful thing. I've found a way to prioritize good aspects of my life and really grow as a person. And I've hoped that resonates into others, and and to my children, and to my wife and friends and family. And I can only lead by example at the end of the day. Sure, saying the right thing, doing that right thing goes a long way, but you got to lead by example. And I do it the only way I only know how to. And that's, that's by putting myself out there, challenging myself year to year, and trying to grow, learning from my mistakes, and just being a better person, prioritizing myself, man. It'll manifest in a more positive way. And that's what you need. That's what you need. I don't have much more for you guys tonight. Already going in just about an hour and a half. Again, I knew this was going to happen. I was thinking like 30 minutes to an hour. I'm going to do a little quick show tonight. Yeah, it's never that way, huh? But I'm glad I did, again, happier for it. I was kind of debating back and forth today. I'm like, oh, man, I don't know. I don't know if I could get through it. All those stories in my head. We've talked about that on previous shows before. I felt like crap this morning. I woke up and just felt like hot garbage. You know, not really sure why. Could have been some food. Battling a little stomach bug. Yeah, the lack of sleep didn't help. Had a bit of a rough night in terms of lack of sleep because of the stomach issues, and then having to go to work, and it being a Monday, and and there it is. It's that like downward cycle of just negativity, and it's like all it needs is that one little perspective, one little that shift in focus, and it can change everything. It could change the outcome of your day. It could change the outcome of your future. Um, in a blink of an eye, if you let it. If you let it. Prioritizing yourself is part of that. And there you go. All right, folks. I'm gonna try to find. I think we got Roy McCracken, a good friend of mine in the community, in the Twitch community. Those of you watching on YouTube or in post, again, I appreciate you. Keep showing up as always. It's a beautiful thing. Let's keep the momentum going. YouTube subscribers up over 12,000 now. We have finally hit 12,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's insane. All right, the shirt giveaway is coming, people. All right, so just stay tuned for that. It is coming. All right, I'm waiting for a good show to do it on. Get you all involved. Those of you new to the channel tonight, Lily, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. Twisted Reality, thank you for showing up. Thank you for the raid. Zero, as always, thank you for the raid. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for all the love. Let's keep it going. All right. Stay tuned this week. We're doing a sports show. So much to talk about in the sports world. I can't wait to get to it. Can't wait to talk about it. There's too much going on right now. Even though really the only sports is like, baseball, soccer, and golf. Nothing wrong with that. But, man, there's just the side news, the side stories, the NBA. Even though the NBA Summer League is starting. So the next thing you know, basketball will be here before you know it. It's just crazy. There's a lot going on, a lot to talk about. Again, stay tuned for the new series. A note to myself, I will be re-releasing that old video, a tribute to my father, on YouTube for you guys. I'll put it on the Epis Radio page on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as well, because I haven't posted it. It was only posted on my personal page originally. So that, to you guys, for some of you that are not familiar with Epis Radio, that'll be a nice new refresh one for you to see. And stay tuned for more content and other updates. So, we got a lot going on. I talked about, making a Epis Automotive show, talking about cars, the whole nine. So, some of you might be interested in that. And that'll be more of a series. Right now with the live shows, we're just doing Epis Sports and obviously the Mental Mondays. And every Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, unless noted otherwise, that you can bank that for the Mental Health Mondays. We love showing up on Monday nights. We try to turn a Monday into a positive. And then, of course, you always got my brother over there with the Taco Tuesdays. I'm sure he's got a Taco Tuesday going tomorrow. I did a nice little Taco Tuesday firework for him. So check that out. I'm sure he's got some ideas for that video. So it should be cool. Give him a follow. Give Twisted Reality as well a follow. Thank you for showing up. All right, folks. Stick with me if you're hanging with us in the Twitch community. For the YouTube community, we love you. Keep showing up until next time. All right. As part of the Twitch community, we like showing others some love, so we're going to send it over to the Roy McCracken. He does a little sports, usually a big Madden guy. All right, love watching him. Good old Roy. He's got a good sense of humor. So let me cue that up for you guys. All right, I believe he just started. Yeah, he just started a stream. Hasn't been going for too long. So definitely stick around. Show him some love from Shiv Nation and Epis Radio. And again, guys, when I get this outro going, as always, the message of today's show is prioritizing yourself, putting yourself out there, manifesting that positivity in your life, and doing something new, right? Getting out there and really challenging yourself. You'll probably be a happier person for it. I know you will. So that's my message. That's what I got for you this week, folks. It's your boy Matty B, Epis Radio. Until next time, keep showing up.
Wake up! You can't remember where it was. Has this dream stopped?
Hope you find some kind of peace of mind.
All right, everybody, don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere if you're in here in Twitch. All right, we're going to send it over to Roy McCracken.
Some kind of
Show him
peace
some
of
love,
mind.
people. Keep showing up.
Hope you find some kind of peace of mind.
Uh-oh, hold on, actually.